Let's go, please.
Citizen of Ogun State. Well, I couldn't dispute that. So, Mr. President, I am here to welcome you on behalf of all this and to thank you for doing all the work.
Olusegun Obasanjo and President Tinubu at the weekend during the president's state visit to Ogun State. Obasanjo was seen, as you clearly saw, wearing an outfit branded with President Tinubu's signature symbol, specifically a cap and an attire featuring Tinubu's notable infinity of broken chain logo associated with his campaign and identity for many years now. And now the event took place in Ikeru, Ogun State, where Obasanjo joined other dignitaries to welcome President Tinubu for the official inauguration of key infrastructure projects. The gesture became a reason to keep the social media space abuzz, with many questioning if it is a political reconciliation or unity. Some others even jokingly questioned if Obasanjo knew the meaning of wearing any regalia branded with the famous Tinubu's logo. Well, hopefully, as the elections draw closer, it will surely be revealed who the former President Obasanjo will be supporting as a candidate for the 2027 presidential race. This appearance was notable given their historical political differences and Obasanjo's support for an opposition candidate during the 2023 elections. Now, also at the weekend, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, announced a suspension of its planned nationwide voter revalidation exercise and removed related information from its platforms due to severe pressure and mounting concerns from stakeholders regarding the exercise's timing and logistical feasibility. Now, the decision to pause the exercise, which was intended to start on April 13, 2026, aimed to clean up the register for the 2027 elections. It was driven by a number of factors. Now, opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and the African Democratic Congress, ADC, along with various civil society organizations, criticized the initiative, arguing that it was ill-timed as it will disenfranchise millions of voters. Concerns were also raised that conducting a nationwide revalidation exercise less than 9 months before the 2027 polls will overstretch the apex electoral body's capacity, leading to poor execution. Now, critics also warned that the process, particularly if it required rural dwellers to engage in technical, online, or physical verifications, could discourage participation and suppress voters. Now, some other stakeholders also argued that such a major exercise should have been conducted earlier in the electoral cycle rather than in the build-up to the 2027 elections. Now, following the backlash, INEC instructed all resident electoral commissioners to suspend all publicity and preparations for the exercise and to shift scheduled meetings to a virtual format. Now, while not completely cancelled, the exercise is on hold pending further directives. Now, on Monday, the African Democratic Congress ADC's youth wing finally spoke up on the derecognition of the Mark Aregbesola-led leadership by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, last week, while others threatened to occupy INEC's office nationwide, demanding the apex body's boss, Professor Joash Amopitan's resignation.
Null, void, and unacceptable. We hereby issue a 3-day ultimatum to INEC to immediately restore the Senator David Marks-led leadership on its official portal, publicly apologize to Nigerians for its unconstitutional and partisan conduct, cease all actions based on letters, pending motions, or non-binding processes without express court orders.
There is no any hidden undemocratic forces, to be able to use the institutions of governance, especially this particular individual who has shown his practical position to the world that he's against the tenets of democracy. The court of law in any way did not in any form mention it that go and delist.
I strongly believe that we are in a nation of where law is the order of the day. And if anybody do not want to abide by the law, if anybody wants to usurp the law, like what Amopitan just did, Amopitan is usurping the law, the judicial law, by directing himself, directing his own institution to delist the names of ADC leadership. The court never told him to do that.
They're considering such kind of conduct, an individual having multiple signatures, going online, making different statements, signing, resignation letter, and the next few hours he will go to video and tell you that he did not sign resignation letter. So those kind of conduct, are questionable.
Well, the debate still continues. I am Enemaku Ojochegbe, and this is Democracy Today on African Independent Television, AIT. You're welcome. Let me also send my felicitations to you on the Easter celebration for the year 2026.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law.
National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberate misplacement of priorities and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
For
this
the former
defection,
president,
yes,
what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
Now to the topic of tonight's program. We are talking about, of course, the ADC and the APC's face-off over INEC's derecognition of the ADC leadership. Now, the All Progressives Congress APC and the African Democratic Congress ADC are currently locked in a heated face-off following the Independent National Electoral Commission's decision to withdraw its recognition of the ADC leadership factions. The conflict centers on a claim by the ADC that the ruling APC is using state institutions to dismantle the opposition ahead of the 2027 general elections. Now, leaders like David Mark and spokesperson Kenneth Okonkwo have accused the APC of coercing INEC to freeze the party's operations after high-profile figures like Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Rabiu Musa Kwangwaso recently defected to the ADC. Now, the APC, through its National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, dismissed these claims as the cries of a desperate and power-hungry coalition. The APC maintains that the ADC's crisis is self-inflicted due to internal power struggles and that INEC is simply obeying a court of appeal order to maintain the status quo ante bellum. But his claims seem not to be on the same page with the chieftain of the party, Honorable Farouk in a media interview. He said such a heavy blow on Mark-led group as a revenge.
Different people, different styles. If you think that Buhari is a better Democrat, that's your opinion. As far as I'm concerned, Buhari has his style, Tinubu has his style. And there is no hand of Tinubu in this kind of thing. But politically speaking,
it's not an opinion.
One day when I was speaking with you, Rufai,
yes,
I told you something. That look, we will also not sit down and look and watch them destroy us or our party. The more they poach into us, we will also put sand in their gari. They poached Rufai from us. They poached Malemi from us. They poached Amechi from us. They poached so many other people from us. Should we just sit by? So politically speaking, we are doing things in a political manner to also harm them, politically speaking. So whatever also they do
it's
to do that, that's their business. But if INEC,
Mr. Farouk,
I mean, I also am not happy with what INEC did, honestly.
Mr. Farouk, it's fair game. I'm unhappy. You said they poached El Rufai from you. Yes. They didn't poach El Rufai from you. You failed.
They poached.
No, wait. Just wait a minute. You failed to meet him with the agreement you gave him. You put him on a minister.
All right. That may not be the last to be heard regarding that, but of course that's the latest, regarding the counterclaims and counterclaims regarding, what is going on, within the ADC and the APC, and of course the intervention, what the INEC, the Apex Electoral Body INEC calls intervention, as it's got involved right now by a chieftain of the APC. That interview held on a sister station, Arise Television, right here in the nation. I'm being joined by the national spokesperson of the ruling APC, Felix Moka. He joins me now via Zoom. Many thanks indeed for joining the program again tonight. I would have really preferred to have you in the studio just like the other time, but I understand why you can't make it to the studio live. First, before we continue, happy Easter to you, even though today is the last holiday. Now, what are your thoughts regarding...
Happy Easter to you as well.
Thank you. Well, what are your thoughts regarding, the stance, by Farouk regarding the issue going on at the moment? He's a chieftain of your party.
Honorable Farouk is a citizen who is entitled to his views and his opinions, even when he's a member of the APC. I'm the national spokesman of the party, and, that's why you invited me to share my thoughts on behalf of the party. So, and I'm here to do so.
Felix, do you agree with the decision of the Federal High Court, which ordered David Mark led EXCO to show cause, right? Why the order of interim injunction should not be made, against them. In an appellable decision, right? The Court of Appeal really does have jurisdiction. But look at what the situation is now.
No, first of all, there's nothing that happened in the Federal High Court that gave rise to a need to appeal to the Court of Appeal. The invitation by the Federal High Court to the ADC to show cause while the interim injunction sought by the plaintiff in the matter, nephew Gombe, was not a decision that the ADC, should have appealed. There was nothing there to appeal. It was not a decision. As a matter of fact, the court was merely trying to help the ADC to present information to the court to enable the court fully understand all of the facts that are relevant for a determination of that application for an interim injunction brought by, Mr. Gombe. So the court was in fact doing ADC a favor, because the court could have gone ahead to consider to adjudicate that application for injunction and even granted that application for injunction without reference to the ADC. But the court was looking to do substantial justice by asking the ADC, please come and tell us why we shouldn't grant this application. But instead of the ADC, even being grateful to the court and providing the information the court required, they appealed to the Court of Appeal. And now there's a secondary issue. The ADC appealed to the Court of Appeal in an interlocutory matter, meaning that this matter was still pending. It had not been concluded by the Federal High Court. So when you're faced with a need to appeal, when the substantive matter is still in litigation, when a judgment has not been rendered, you do not have a right to appeal, as of right. You must apply for leave of court. The ADC, in appealing this decision, which was not in fact, like I said, appealable, the ADC also failed to seek and obtain the leave of court to apply to the Court of Appeal. So that was a two-strike. So which is why it was very easy for the Court of Appeal to dismiss the appeal. I said, look, listen, first of all, there was no ground for your appeal. Second of all, you didn't even seek leave to come before the Court of Appeal. For that reason, your appeal is incompetent. And the Court of Appeal rightfully, and validly dismissed that appeal. You see, so look, now the ADC turned around, and by the way, the other significant information that Nigerians must keep in mind in order to understand what is going on is that this case was filed on the 2nd of September, 2025. The decision by the Court of Appeal was handed down, I believe it was on the 12th of March, 2026. So about 6 months passed by with the ADC in the Court of Appeal, wasting all of that time when the Federal High Court could have concluded the matter, the substantive case. They could have reviewed it and given a valid judgment, out of which ADC could have appealed within that period of time. So they squandered 6 months doing nothing. And now when the Court of Appeal gave the judgment and said, look, listen, maintain status quo ante bellum. They didn't say maintain status quo. They said maintain status quo ante bellum, meaning maintain the position of affairs prior to the 2nd of September. Now, again, let me remind us, 2nd of September was the date that that case was filed. Now, what that meant, and by the way, the ADC, when David Mark was coronated as the national chairman of the ADC issued communication to INEC, which INEC received, I believe it was on the 7th of September, 5 days after this case was filed. So when the court ordered that status quo ante bellum be restored, then it meant that at the latest or at the earliest, it will be the 1st of September. So the question is, as of the 1st of September, INEC had no information whatsoever about ADC, about David Mark being the chairman of ADC. They had none. They received that communication on the 7th of September. So it meant that going to maintain status quo ante bellum as of 1st of September, INEC had no knowledge that David Mark was in fact the national chairman of the ADC, which is why INEC rolled back the time to the events before September 2nd, in compliance with the order of the Court of Appeal. So all of this hue and cry by the ADC is simply their own making. They are the author of their own predicament. They cannot be blaming the APC or blaming the court or blaming President Tinubu for what they're going through. They created it. They were utterly negligent. They were utterly incompetent in the way they managed this case.
Felix.
And by the way, just before I stop,
okay,
Bala Gombe was a member of their party. What exactly stopped them from reaching out to this man and appeasing him, whatever it was? He's a party man. You need to call him and settle with him. You didn't do any of that. You took an intransigent position, and today you want to blame the APC. We are not to be blamed. We're not responsible for their mess.
The decision of INEC, right, doesn't quite sit well with the party and indeed other, political watchers and many other Nigerians, because by INEC taking this stance, it appears INEC is doing the job of the courts. Why not allow the courts to take this decision that INEC took? That is what many Nigerians, are really asking.
No, look, anybody who is asking that question doesn't understand anything about the judicial system, about law, and about what a court order is about. They don't get it. And I think that it's our duty and the duty of the media to inform Nigerians properly so that they can understand. When a court gives an order, it does not give you any discretion whether or not to comply with the order. When the Court of Appeal said to INEC and to the parties, not just INEC, to say, look, maintain status quo ante bellum, you must do nothing to foist a situation of helplessness on the court, meaning don't do anything that will render whatever judgment the court may give, invalid or nugatory. Don't defeat the authority of the court. That was the order of the court. INEC was required to comply with that order. INEC didn't make the order, but INEC was the subject of that court order, and INEC had to comply with the order. INEC didn't have a choice but to comply with that order. So let's not, focus on INEC and say INEC did nothing. INEC did it. It was INEC who just merely complied with what they had. So the point here is that the on the day of the judgment could have been the status quo. So David Mark could have been, allowed to continue to be national chairman if the court had said maintain status quo. But once the court said maintain status quo ante bellum, it meant maintain status quo before the dispute arose. And at least we can all agree that the dispute here arose on the date, September the 2nd, when that case was filed at the Federal High Court. So, you blame anybody who is blaming INEC is just purely ignorant of how, the courts work and how orders of court are enforced.
Felix.
And why INEC, complied fully with the order of court. INEC had no choice in the matter at all.
All right. Since the main reason Nafiu Bala Gombe, went to court is to stop the apex electoral body from recognizing the David Mark-led leadership, is there any difference between what he's asking the court to do, and what INEC has done at this time? Wouldn't he now be, for lack of another word, flouting the law if he's asking the court to do what he has, stopping the Mark-led group now?
No, to my understanding, Bala Gombe is asking for more than just stopping David Mark. He's asking to be recognized as the legitimate national chairman, or at least the acting national chairman of the ADC. That's what he's asking. He's not just asking for David Mark not to be recognized. That may be an implicit, maybe implicit in what he's asking. Because if he's recognized, then it means that David Mark would, cease to be, the national chairman. So that's what I think he's asking. So in other words, which is why some people even argue that INEC should have gone ahead to recognize Bala Gombe as the national chairman. But INEC didn't do that. And INEC was being very careful not to, do something that may be, again, perceived to be, descending into the arena. INEC took a very strict construction of the order of court, which is to maintain status quo ante bellum. You see, look, Bala Gombe and whatever he's claiming is also a citizen. To be honest with you, Bala Gombe also has a right to vent and to seek legal redress.
But this is someone who has resigned, even though he has denied the resignation. But can't that the umpire, go a step further to also, prevail on him to prove that his denial of his resignation, is genuine? Because it is now enmeshed in the whole squabble.
No, look, my dear friend, no, that's I'm sorry, that's not how it works. Listen, Bala Gombe did what he was required to do or expected to do in a democracy. He filed a suit in court. Now, at the High Court, the case that is awaiting review and determination is actually whether or not Bala Gombe resigned, and the court has to determine that question and then determine whether Bala Gombe is entitled to be recognized as the national chairman of ADC based on the succession, stipulations of the ADC constitution. That's what I understand, him to be doing in court. Now, and that's where it gets tricky, because INEC didn't grant recognition to Bala Gombe, because that matter has yet to be determined by the court. So INEC was right in not granting recognition. But INEC was also right in de-recognizing David Mark, because, status quo ante bellum, as of September 1st, David Mark, in INEC's books, it doesn't matter what happened at the office of the ADC, whether they had a meeting where they raised his hand and shouted that he was the national chairman, until that is officially communicated to INEC, INEC does not and cannot recognize anything and anybody as official until INEC receives valid, proper communication. INEC is a regulatory body, and it works with record, not on social media reports, on speculation about who was made chairman and who was not made chairman. So INEC acted properly in this instance. As far as, look, I'm a lawyer of nearly 40 years, so I have an idea what I'm saying. So INEC acted within the, limits of the law.
All right.
But here, the ADC is the institution that has to explain itself. Now, let me say this and I'll stop. Now, Bala Gombe, according to David Mark at his press conference, resigned his appointment on May 17th. Now, the letter informing INEC of Bala Gombe's resignation was not dated until about the July the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. And INEC did not receive that letter that was dated July 12th until about the August 10th. Now, tell me, ADC has not explained to anybody why a man they claim resigned on May 17th, a letter to that effect, which should have gone out within 48 hours maximum, didn't go out until July 12th, a space of nearly 3 months. And then, even when that letter was dated July 12th, INEC did not acknowledge receipt until August the 10th. Listen, that is very spooky. ADC has a lot they're hiding. They need to come clean. And tell Nigerians
Isn't the onus on INEC therefore to prove, whether it received it or not? Why would INEC? Isn't INEC, the one with the responsibility to prove whether it received or not? Why did it take INEC this long to even say no? We didn't receive any, resignation from Balana Few.
Listen, no, I don't understand your question. Why are you putting the burden on INEC? So INEC should also...
INEC also has a responsibility. That's the reason.
Please, hang on. INEC has no responsibility to tell you anything. INEC is a regulatory body. If you need information, you go apply for CTC. INEC doesn't come to the media to start telling you, we received the data from APC. When Ganduje resigned as national chairman of APC, INEC will come and inform Nigerians, we have received a letter from APC informing us that Ganduje resigned. Who does that? Please, that's almost not a smart thing to say. That's not expected.
Now, talking about David Mark, you remember that when you talk about experience, he has quite a lot of it. He was the longest serving Senate president Nigeria has ever had. He was, one of the, founding members of the PDP, and, he's got quite some experience. So would you say as well that he doesn't know his onions in this regard, in the current state of things?
Look, I don't have to say anything. The record speaks for itself. The level of tardiness, the level of utter confusion, disorganization and disorientation, and incompetence demonstrated by the ADC and its leadership and their lawyers is just mind-boggling. So I'm not speaking about the Mark or whatever. I'm just telling you that the ADC as a body, as a group, as a leadership, and as lawyers who serve them completely, did not serve themselves well. And which is why they're in this mess. Because, and I expect the ADC, given the caliber of people like David Mark, you say, have all the experience in the world, I expect that at this point they should pause and take some responsibility. Rather than pointing fingers at the ADC and the president, they should stop and say, look, maybe we should have done this, we should have engaged Bala Gombe more, properly. Whatever it is we had with him, we should have met it. We should have, made sure our lawyers were on top of their game. They were not. But rather than take responsibility, I see leadership is not a joke. You can't even lead your party. You can't manage documentation of your record properly. And you are screaming that you are ready to govern Nigeria. Govern Nigeria from where? when you can't even manage and fix your internal problems as a party, you want to govern Nigeria. You see, Nigerians, I think, are laughing these guys to the market. The
All
market
right.
square, quite frankly.
All right, let's look at the electoral umpire itself now. Expectations are high. Nigerians are anxiously waiting, to hear, something cheering, something hopeful as the elections, inch closer ever so fast. Now, the apex electoral body, INEC, just suspended the voter register revalidation and what have you. That's caused some sort of setback, especially in rural communities where there has to be, use of technology and all of that. Does that not cause some sort of setback? Now, a new date has been announced, yes, but why now? Why couldn't it, just go on? INEC has got the technology and the funding. Felix, did you hear me?
No, you have to repeat that, please.
Okay, I was saying that, sorry that you missed it. I was saying that, let's look at INEC. They just, changed their mind, let me put it quite simply, regarding the voter register revalidation. And many Nigerians, it doesn't quite sit well with them. This is one of the reasons that in rural areas, for instance, many people, they may feel left out. The INEC has the technology, it's got the funding, it has the manpower. Even opposition figures and many analysts say that, there's perhaps something fishy regarding that decision. Why that decision at this time?
Look, there are people who are cynical, incurably cynical. There's nothing, government or any quasi-government agency is going to do that is okay. People always who are cynical, they must read meaning and develop conspiracy theories, when it comes to any government decision. INEC is, an institution governed by rules and procedures. Sometimes they make an announcement, sometimes they roll it back. I think we should calm down and allow INEC eventually to decide what it thinks is best in order to discharge its statutory responsibility. Everybody's an analyst, in this age of social media. Everybody has a phone, we write an opinion and say whether they have information or not, they say whatever it is they say. You say, look, I won't say anything further. We are a political party, the All Progressives Congress. At the end of the day, whatever INEC decides in the exercise of their authority as the electoral body to manage our voter register, whether they call for revalidation or they don't, whatever it is they decide, we will comply. That's exactly what we are all required to do. This idea that we sit in our offices and dictate to INEC and dictate to government how everything must be done. People can express their opinions, but at the end of the day, I think that when INEC has decided this is the procedure, we all should simply take a deep breath and comply.
But Nigerians deserve to know what happens per time, how an agency that is expected to be, unbiased, an umpire that should, carry everybody along, not just political parties now, if it becomes rather sudden, don't you think, right-thinking citizens have the right to be worried?
No, please, I don't agree with you. Like, what exactly has happened? An announcement was made a few days ago to do this, and INEC decided to, press the pause button. How does that, now rise to the level that INEC is not carrying Nigerians along? You see, these announcements are happening in real time as we speak. I think it's too early, it's too hasty to draw all these inferences and conclusions. And, look, nobody is undermining anybody and nobody's undermining Nigerians. Nigerians know that nobody's undermining them. Other countries of the world, sometimes they go forward, they announce a program and they also change their position. It doesn't mean the world is coming to an end. See, I think we all need to just slow this down and not, help to just inflame passion and tension in the country as though, something is really going on when nothing is going on. INEC is an institution of human beings as well. The human beings who are managing INEC. In AIT, sometimes you schedule a program and sometimes you have a power outage and you're not able to run the show. Or your guests don't show and you have to, apologize to your viewers. Look, is INEC infallible? Are they not a human organization as well?
All right.
You see, let's afford them their margin of error. And when they do that and they recover within good time, I think we should work with, institutions of government and not treat them like, because they are INEC, therefore, they are superhuman.
Let me quickly.
AIT and the managers of AIT are not superhuman either. They're not.
It's all right. Let me quickly ask you this before I let you go. The ADC has, however, maintained that it is going ahead with its planned convention and and all the other activities. By the way, the law does not mandate INEC to be present as a matter of necessity. It only says it may observe it. So does that flout? I mean, that is still within the law, isn't it?
You see, even though I'm a lawyer, I will offer no free consultancy service.
This is no consultant.
No, you're asking me to offer a consultancy service to ADC.
Does that?
And I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
You are a politician. You're a member of the ruling party.
Doesn't mean I should.
If the ADC that appears to be weakened is still going strong despite the challenges it's facing, does that in any way, worry you? After all, the ruling party will be happy that other political parties are in disarray, but the ADC, the coalition, is still waxing strong in spite of what it's going through. That should worry you, doesn't it?
No, nothing about the ADC worries us, and nothing about the ADC excites us. We are minding our business. We don't care what the ADC does or doesn't do. They decide to go ahead, fine. That's their prerogative.
All right.
They decide to do the right thing, go back to court and get guidance from the court. That's also up to them. Either way, ADC will bear the consequences of the complete mishap perpetrated by the ADC with no assistance from anybody. They will take responsibility. If it goes well, it's on them. If it goes wrong, it's on them. We have no business to
The national spokesperson of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Felix Moka, it was indeed nice having you on the show tonight. I'm looking forward to having you again, but next time around, in the studio.
I will. I will come back into the studio.
I'm looking forward to that.
Give me the chance. Thank you.
That's not all. My next guest is still waiting on Zoom, but that will be after this break. Don't go away.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Thanks for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, this is Democracy Today on AIT. You've missed something, definitely. That's why you should always tune in at 7 p.m. on AIT. But not to worry, my next guest is already, live online. He is a barrister, Chetam Walla. He's a political analyst. He joins me now live from Port Harcourt. Many thanks indeed for joining the program tonight. Let me begin, let's begin from this angle. You definitely, watched that interview by Honorable Farouk. He had that interview with a sister television, Arise TV. Let me see how you react to that, first of all.
Okay, thank you for having me. Nigeria is a very funny country where we have funny people in leadership and funny people answering honorables, and it's one situation I get to laugh at another. I also listened to Felix Moka, part of his interview, and I just shook my head and all that, because the truth of the matter is that you expect him to say something different from what he has said. The statement accredited to Farouk represents the true nature of things. Why what is happening to the ADC is happening to the ADC. Because you see the APC is unsettled, even with 31 governors. The question we keep asking is, what is the APC afraid of? What exactly is that thing that they are trying to beat to make sure that there is no opposition? You said you have 31 governors. You also said that you have the majority at the National Assembly. Why are you afraid of contesting real elections? We have seen how they have completely destroyed the PDP. The PDP is completely destroyed today. Now we now have the ADC that seem to form the only opposition within this country. And they are seeking every means to destroy and weaken the ADC. And that's why you see all this is playing out. And Farouk has come to say, see, the reason why we are doing this is because we're not happy with the fact that ADC has elected this person, they've elected that person. But they don't also remember that there are a number of governors that have also moved from the PDP down to the APC. A number of politicians and bigwigs have also done the same movement. And nobody has done what they have done to the APC, to the ADC, to them. So the statement by Farouk is really an unfortunate one, but it also reflects our current realities. Every other window dressing we find Moka trying to do is just funny. It's just really funny. But it's further unfortunate when you see senior lawyers of this standing coming on live television to come and misinterpret the law and paint things to suit their political leaning. Forgetting that beyond the political party, we have a country to protect.
Barrister Chitam, let me point something out to you. You see, for a long time now, Nigerians and so many analysts like even yourself have been worried that the country's democracy may be tilting towards a one-party state. The fear has been so rife, and that's the same thing that Honorable Farouk was alluding to in that interview. Now, does it look anything like, that is what is going on to you?
I didn't get that, sorry.
Do you see it as a deliberate, attempt as well, just like Farouk is saying?
No, the truth of the matter is that what is happening with the ADC is a deliberate attempt by the APC. It's a deliberate attempt, and we cannot address these things. The APC is just only trying to weaken the ADC to make sure that there is no opposition in 2027. The president does not want to contest an election with anybody. He wants to run an unopposed election or a near unopposed election where all opposition will be destroyed. Remember, this did not just start. It started first of all with the Labour Party. Remember with the Labour Party. Immediately after the elections were won and lost in 2023, the issues with the Labour Party, which was then one of the strongest forces we had in the country, they destroyed the Labour Party, weakened the Labour Party today. From the Labour Party, we moved on down to the PDP. From the Labour Party, we moved down to the PDP. The PDP and now from the PDP, Erofai moved to the LP. We also suffered the same fate in the SDP. The same fate was suffered in the SDP. The crisis came up, and the people decided to register their own political party. You said no, they should not, that they can't register their own political party. They went to
Barrister Chitam, you know that the APC, however, has repeatedly denied that it has nothing to do with, there's anything to do with the crisis in the opposition party, because they even say that even their own party has got crisis too, that it is natural in a democracy for opposition parties to have crisis. So they won't agree with this position now.
I'm not expecting them to agree with this position. I don't also expect them to come out to say that they are the ones involved in the crisis, political crisis in the PDP and in the opposition political party. We saw what happened now. We have Bala Mohammed, who is actually a governor and a chieftain of the PDP. I don't know whether he has finally moved to the APC. Now went to the president to beg the president to talk to Wike to allow their party thrive. Imagine that type of circumstance and situation, that he will now leave his party, go down to the president who is in the opposition, who is in an opposite political party, go down to the president to beg the president to speak to the FCT minister for the party to sustain. And you say the APC has no hands in what is happening. What more evidence do we need to show that the APC is interested in what is happening? You heard Felix Moka. Felix Moka was busy he was speaking more like an INEC spokesman than the spokesman of the opposition, of the ruling party. He wasn't speaking like an APC spokesman. He spoke more like they are actually in league with INEC. And to be honest with you, most Nigerians are tired of what is happening. Most Nigerians have lost confidence in the INEC of today.
Now that you mentioned
Nigerians have lost
INEC, let me quickly point this out. The revalidation of voter register that was supposed to hold, before now has been suspended. A new date has been announced, April 13, thereabout. Many people are worried that that could also, undermine the process as well. But it is normal, even according to INEC.
Why are we revalidating voters?
To clean up the register. To clean up the register.
To clean up the register. And why are we doing this a few months to the general election? You see, these are some of the things that keeps on making Nigerians lose trust in this INEC. That INEC waited all this while. INEC could not carry out the revalidation of the register. Even from where I sit, I don't also see a need why we need to revalidate the register. But now you have decided to revalidate the register. There are some certain persons who also hold the opinion and states that.
Barrister Chetam, I'm almost losing connection with you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I would like to know when network static ends, and then you can come back on the program. But I was going to ask you that, the time between now and the elections is very short.
But from the
okay, there you're back. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
What INEC should be doing at this time is to carry out policies that should boost the confidence of Nigerians in the electoral process and on INEC itself. But what we have seen happen is that INEC is not making effort. Rather, INEC has continued to carry our rollout policies that has continued to create doubts in the minds of Nigerians. That has continued to create doubts in the minds of Nigerians. Then when you now stay and you listen to an APC spokesman speak like he is the INEC's spokesperson.
Chetam, we are running out of time, so let's see how we can manage our remaining time quickly. Let me ask you this now. There are indications that a lot of people believe that the ADC may be considering bringing back Ralph Mosu, who resigned his position before. Is that even possible? And should that be an option that the ADC should even consider?
You see, as of today, the ADC seems to be confused because they probably did not plan for what is happening.
Okay.
And that's why you see the confusion left, right, and center. And this has been the plan of the ruling APC to destabilize the opposition, to make sure the opposition does not exist in this country. And they are gradually succeeding in it. But no matter what plays out, Nigerians should be ready to vote out this APC that has not given us good governance.
Although the David Mark group, denied that, but I just wanted to, get your, opinion in the event that you think is feasible or not, and all of that. But that will be all because our time is almost up, and we'll need to wrap it up at this point. Chetam Mwala is a lawyer, and he joined me live from Port Harcourt. Thank you very much indeed for joining the program tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. The program for today is winding down gradually, but don't forget you can follow us on all social media handles and on Twitter, well, now X, on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Threads. All right? You can just, send your comments there and we'll engage continuing. Now, look at the comments we got on social media. You see the way the question is answered with certainty. And we as a people are acting like we are too powerless, like David always say, whenever we wake up is our morning. And another one says, very shallow reasoning. What happened to all the other parties? Because some parties refuse to put their house in order, or governors choose to pitch their tents with the APC because it seemed a stable party. It has become a one-party state. What happened to the countless amount of parties we have? And then finally, let's just give you this one quickly. If we give up Nigeria, we have given up the entire, I didn't quite get the last word you put there, but thank you for your comments. Just keep them coming on X, even on YouTube. Make sure you engage with us on YouTube, on Threads, on Facebook, even on TikTok. But that's the show for today. Don't forget, you can follow me on all social media handles as well. I'll be ready to engage with you. The conversation will definitely continue. It was a beautiful holiday for the Easter, but it ends today. You will go to work tomorrow, whether you like it or not, but we don't go to work. We're always working round the clock. Thank you very much indeed. I'll see you again tomorrow. I am Enemaku Ojochegbe. Bye for now.